Now the next use scenario that I want to work on is going to have to do with adding and removing rooms. So as an employee, I'd like to be able to add and remove rooms so that I can keep a list of available rooms current. And I believe that's, let's see, oh, and then I would like to be able to edit the details. Oh, we have that one. So now we need a use scenario that deals with this, and I think this is the only feature that we don't have taken care of yet. So let's go ahead and create a use scenario that will handle that. So I'm going to call this one employee modifies room list. So when I'm adding and removing rooms, I'm modifying the entire list. And usually I like to bold these. So I like to bold the titles so they are different from the list of steps. Where are we going to start this? We're going to say scenario starts off on room list page. Employee clicks edit on room 211. If you remember in the product backlog, it says that there are 40 rooms in the building, 10 on each floor. And if you know anything about how they do floors, they usually have them listed in the 100s so that they can also have the floor name and the, which room number. So there should only be 10 rooms, so having 11 rooms is too many. So we are going to delete this room. So employee clicks edit on room 211. Employee sees, so employee clicks, employee sees form populated with room 211 details. Notice that this step looks the same as this step. Employee sees form populated with room 202 details, room 211 details. So when steps are being the same as something from another section, you should have similar looking steps or similar wording for those steps. And then employee, once they see that, there's going to be options. There's going to be, a save option. There's going to be a cancel. There's going to be, whatever would be typical in a form. But in this instance, we need to delete. So we also are going to make sure that there's a delete button. So employee clicks delete. Then what happens? They see a confirmation. So when let's see here. When the employee removes an item, the system should confirm that the employee really wants to remove that item. Employee sees confirmation box saying, "Are you sure you want to delete this room?" And those are actual words that I'm going to put in a pop-up box when I create my wireframes. The employee clicks yes. All right, now we have the employee see. The employee sees a pop-up saying room successfully deleted. So now we know that it's been removed from our system. Then employee clicks close on that pop-up, and then employee sees the list of all the rooms and their rates. Alright, so we've just modified the list, the room list, by deleting a room. So now we need to make sure that we have the functionality of adding a room in there. So like I said, we should have multiple features in a use scenario. And so we have, being able to view an individual room, view the room list, delete a room, and now we're going to add a room. So we're going to say, and this is all something that the user would sit down and do in one sitting, right? They wouldn't just sit down at the computer. I mean, unless they got on there for one specific reason, but typically, you're going to sit down and do some work. They're going to sit down, they're going to remove something, they're going to add something, so they're modifying this room list. The next step is going to be adding the room. So employee clicks add room. So somewhere on our room list, there's going to be a button that says add room. And when they click it, they're going to see a new room form with all of those with all of those details from the product backlog. So again, let's take a look at what details we're going to need to grab. We'll need new room number, current rate, we'll need the floor. I don't want to add, I'm not going to be adding images, but we're going to have the number of size of beds and amenities and then statuses. So I'm going to go ahead and let's fill that out. And instead of typing, I'm actually just going to copy and paste what I have here just for time's sake. And we'll just read through these really quickly. So employee sees new room form. Employee enters 410. So, and this is going to be for room number. And then employee enters 149 for rate. Then employee clicks drop down menu. So we're going to have a drop down menu. Instead of having to enter 4, we can do employee clicks drop down menu. Employee chooses 4. Employee clicks beds drop down number, right? So there's options. We only have four floors. We only have 2 types of bed options, 1 king or 2 queens. So employee chooses 1 king. Then a lot of these are true or false. So are pets allowed? I'm going to use a checkbox form. So employee checks pets allowed. Employee checks microwave. Yes, there's a mini fridge. Employee checks mini fridge. Employee checks blow dryer. Employee checks iron board. Employee checks TV, and employee checks couch. So these are all options that are listed in the product backlog that I'm writing here as a check mark for a Boolean value. And then finally, these two. This one would be, let's see here. So if the status is cleaned or not cleaned, checked in or checked out. Again, Boolean values. I would want to use a switch for this. So has it been? So I would say a switch. Employee switches button to cleaned. And you'll see what I mean when I pull up wireframes for this. And then employee clicks save. So once they've entered all their form information, they're just going to go ahead and click save. So once they click save, so you never want to leave it on a last click. So what happens, the employee sees the list of all rooms and their rates. And then since it's room 410, it'll probably be lower. So I'm going to say employee scrolls down. It'll be lower in the list. And employee sees newly added room 410. Whoops, 410. And there you go. This is our final use scenario for this section. We have all of our functionality covered. And again, they are going to aid us in creating wireframes. And a good way to start this process is by having a very low fidelity wireframe that's sketched out, just kind of to help your imagination as you kind of dream up what the user is going to be doing so that you can make these design decisions.